They set sail across a cold, endless ocean, chasing a land they weren't even sure existed. A place whispered about in sagas, a place of towering hardwood forests, strange animals, and untouched shores. And when the Vikings finally reached it, they were not alone. What really happened when Norse explorers met the first Native Americans? And what happened after? To answer that, we go back to the late 900s, when a restless Viking named Leif Erikson followed rumors carried across the sea. His father had been exiled, his people were hungry, Iceland was crowded, Greenland was worse. If the Norse wanted a future, they had to push west, into the unknown. For weeks, the ocean punished them. Wind, cold, silence, a horizon that never changed. But then, signs of life. Birds circling, driftwood riding the waves, the drifting scent of pine. They had reached a new world. They named it Helluland, then Markland, and finally Vinland, each place richer than the last. Wild grapes, deep soil, forests so vast they could build a fleet. To the Vikings, this wasn't just land, it was hope. And then came the encounter. The sagas describe the indigenous peoples as the Skraelings. Skilled hunters, fast, silent, and completely at home in the wilderness. At first, the contact was careful. The Norse traded red cloth for pelts. They shared milk, wood, small tools. For a brief moment, it felt like two worlds might actually meet in peace. But on the edge of history, peace is fragile. One saga tells of a bull that broke loose from the Norse camp, roaring and charging. The native people panicked, believing they were under attack. They retreated and returned with warriors. Arrows sliced through the air. Stones flew from slings. Shields clashed, axes swung. The Norse were fierce, but they were outnumbered, surrounded, and far from home. And then the truth became painfully clear. These people were not weak, they were not intimidated, and they would not be conquered. The Vikings pulled back to their outpost at Lanceau Meadows, a tiny settlement on the edge of a massive continent. They tried to survive the winter, but the land was harsh, food scarce, and indigenous groups watched them from the forests. Eventually, the Norse made a choice. Vinland was not worth dying for. They abandoned the settlement and sailed back across the Atlantic. For centuries, their stories lived on as sagas, half legend, half memory, until they were finally proven true 1,000 years later. But what happened after they left? The native peoples continued to thrive on their land, guided by traditions far older than any Viking. The Norse pushed east instead, toward Europe, new kingdoms, new wars, new futures. Yet their brief footsteps in North America left a small but undeniable mark. They were the first known Europeans to reach the continent, not as conquerors, but as explorers who discovered a truth they could not ignore. Some frontiers aren't meant to be taken. In the end, the native peoples remained strong. The Norse faded back across the sea, and Vinland became a memory carried by the ocean winds, the land the Vikings found, but could never claim.